I have to tell you something that happened recently because honestly, I still don't know exactly what I think about it. You all know by now that I'm going to Spain this fall to walk the Camino Frances. The flight is booked, which still feels so surreal to say out loud. Some days I'm so excited I can hardly stand it. And other days, I look at myself and think, Carol Ann, have you completely lost your mind? I mean, I'm 68 years old. I've never done anything like this before. There are moments when I feel brave and adventurous, and then there are other moments when I wonder if I should have my head examined. The other day, I was fooling around with one of those AI astrology oracle things. Now, before anyone says anything, I don't even know what I believe about astrology. Maybe there's something to it, and maybe there isn't. I honestly don't know. I wasn't taking it seriously. I was just curious to see what it had to say about my Camino journey. I expected one of those vague answers, something like, oh, the universe supports you, or you're exactly where you're meant to be. Instead, it asked me one question. Are you crystal clear about why? I remember staring at my phone thinking, well, that's an odd question. My first thought was, of course I know why. But then I sat there for a minute and realized I don't know if I do. That really surprised me because if you had asked me 6 months ago why I wanted to walk the Camino, I probably would have shrugged my shoulders and said, I don't know, I just want to. Even now, with the flight booked and everyone knowing I'm going, if someone asked me, so why are you really doing this? I don't know if I'd have a clear answer for them. I've thought about it more than once, and the truth is, I don't really know if I have an answer. Years ago, I watched the movie called The Way with Martin Sheen, and something about that movie stayed with me. Every now and then I'd think about the Camino. I'd think, oh, that would be so awesome to be able to do. I'd imagine what it would be like to walk across Spain. I kept telling myself it was just a thought, something I could set aside and get on with life. I wish I could say it never came back after that, but it always seemed to find its way back to me. Then life would get busy and I'd put it out of my mind again, but it never really left. You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Why do some ideas disappear and others keep finding their way back to us? I wasn't obsessing over the Camino every day for the last few years. It wasn't like I had maps spread across the kitchen table, planning every detail. It was quieter than that. I could go months without thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, there it would be again. I'd be making supper and catch myself wondering what it would feel like to walk into Santiago. I'd watch something on television and think, oh yes, that Camino thing again. Then I'd shake my head and carry on with my day. I never stood up and declared to the world that walking across Spain was my dream. It felt more like something I wish I could do, but never honestly believed it would become a reality for me. It wasn't loud or demanding. It was more like a gentle tap on the shoulder every now and then, almost as if it was quietly reminding me, don't forget about me. I think that's why that question caught me off guard. Because I realized I wasn't crystal clear about why. I just knew that every time I pushed the thought aside, it eventually came back. I remember trying to answer the question for myself. I thought maybe I just wanted an adventure. Then I'd laugh because if adventure was all I was after, there are certainly easier ways to find it than carrying a backpack across Spain at 68 years old. Then I'd think, maybe I was trying to prove something to myself. That might be part of it. Maybe I do want to prove to myself that I can still do hard things. But even then, I don't think that's the whole answer. I think the important thing is simply just to go and try. There was a time after my broken back and later after my mini strokes when I wasn't even sure what my future would look like physically. Maybe this was my way of saying, look how far you've come. But even as I thought that, something inside me would say, no, that's not quite it either. I have to admit, it became a little frustrating. You would think by 68 years old, I'd be able to answer a simple question about why I wanted something. Shouldn't I know? Shouldn't I have some beautiful explanation ready? And the truth is, I don't. What I did realize, though, was something about myself that I hadn't paid much attention to before. Whenever I made a decision, I automatically think about everybody else first. I don't even know when I started doing that. I just know it's there. Before I even know what I think, I'm already wondering how everyone else will react. Will they worry? Probably. Will they understand? Maybe not. Will some people think I'm being selfish? Maybe. But I honestly don't believe selfishness has anything to do with it. It's become so automatic that I barely notice I'm doing it. I don't say that with resentment. It's just how I've lived. I had responsibilities at a very young age. I became a mother at 20, a grandmother at 38, and a great-grandmother at 61. People relied on me, and I learned to put everyone else's needs into the conversation before my own. And maybe after doing that for so many years, I forgot to ask myself what I want before inviting everyone else's opinions into the room. I found myself wondering something I've never really thought about before. What decisions would I make if nobody I loved had an opinion about them? Not because I love them any less, because I don't. But because I honestly don't know if I've ever made a big decision without first considering everyone else's reactions. This time, I am not waiting for the reactions. I automatically think, not my monkey, not my circus. Their responsibilities, they'll handle it. Now, I don't think, I think I'm curious about the woman underneath all the roles I've played. I wonder what I sound like when everyone else's voices get a little quieter. I wonder if I exactly know or who I've always been. I wonder if I'm braver than I give myself credit for. I wonder if I'm trying to get my attention for years. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. The oracle also mentioned rest, and actually he laughed when I read that, because if you know me, resting isn't exactly my strength. Even when I'm sitting with a cup of coffee, my mind is usually racing through all the things I should be remembering and taking care of. So the thought of sitting in a little cafe somewhere in Spain, doing absolutely nothing, almost feels rebellious. Maybe that's a part of the lesson too. Maybe sitting there and thinking, I walked here is enough. I don't know what I'm going to find on the Camino. There will probably be blisters. I'm hoping not, but there probably will be. There will probably be days when I question my sanity, like I always do. There will definitely be moments when my own bed and my own coffee mug at home sound like a much better idea. And yes, I'm scared. I've never done anything like this before. I'm going to be in a new country not knowing anybody. But fear has shown up in almost every meaningful thing I've ever done. It was there when I quit smoking. It was there when I started this YouTube channel. It was there when I booked the flight. Fear always seems to have an opinion. I've just started wondering if fear deserves as much influence as I've given it. So do I think an AI oracle predicted my future? No, I don't think that's what happened. But I do think it asked me a question I needed to hear. Are you crystal clear about why? And you know what's funny? I still don't have an answer. I know I feel pulled towards this. I know that every time I tried to talk myself out of it, the idea keeps returning. And somewhere along the way, another question started showing up too. Why not me? I know that a few months from now, the 68-year-old great-grandmother is getting on a plane, putting on a backpack, and walking across Spain. And maybe that's enough. Maybe not everything meaningful comes with a neat explanation. Maybe sometimes I just need to trust the tap on the shoulder and take the next step. I don't know if I'll come home understanding exactly why I had to do this, but I do know I'd regret never finding out. And now I'm curious about something. Has there ever been something in your life that just won't leave you alone? Something that kept quietly showing up year after year? Did you eventually listen to it? Or are you still having that conversation with yourself? Because maybe neither of us has all the answers. Maybe I'm just paying attention to the things that kept calling my name. And maybe for now, that's enough.